G'day everyone and welcome to another DUC Migrating to Australia podcast. My name's Wes San and today I'm joined by Sarah Ayache. So Sarah, welcome.
Thanks, Wes. It's really great to be here. It's really great to join your podcasts. I've been listening to them recently and they've been a great help to me. So I thought it would be good if I can be of help to someone else.
Well, I'm sure you are because, firstly, it really is a pleasure to have you on here because yours is a really interesting, it's kind of cool too, actually, a little journey that you've had, and this has been on the making for a while. So let's get straight into it. So, whereabouts in the UK you're coming in from?
So I'm currently in Leeds in West Yorkshire. I've lived here for 27 years, I think, since moving over here for university. So been here a long time.
Nice. And now, look, you've been to Australia before, and it was 22 years ago on my notes. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So I went over on a working holiday visa. I took a gap year in a degree. My degree went bankrupt. So I figured I needed to do something different for a year. So I decided that Australia was the plan. That was the thing to do. Um, Disappeared off for the year to kind of have an explore. So I ended up in Sydney to begin with and worked at Taronga Zoo for a 3-month
How
stint.
cool. And while you're at the zoo, what was it like working there? Like lots of like, were you blown away by the animals, or what sort of work were you doing?
So I had a zookeeper's outfit, but I was part of the cleaning team. So
Oh,
I would get the ferry over in the morning and then the cable car up to the office. Um, and then I'd wander around with a litter picker and a zookeeper's uniform on and a radio, looking at the animals, chatting to people, picking up litter, polishing the cable cars, cleaning some of the offices. But it was a really cool job. So I spotted going, I wanted to do something different. Like if I'm
yep.
in Australia, I want to appreciate the weather. I want to appreciate the surroundings. Um, and I spotted the job and I just thought, oh, I'll do that. I think I was the only Brit working in the zoo at the time. Oh, there was one other guy. And he hired me because uh, he realised I used to work for the events team at Leeds University, running Freshers Week. And he'd kind of realised that I'd been customer facing with a big uniform on under big stress. So he was like, oh, yeah, come and join us.
Yep. You'll fit. You'll fit in well. Was it stressful
Yeah.
working at the zoo?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I think
Did it
they
smell?
wanted. Sorry, go on.
Did it smell
Did it
like the zoo?
smell? No. No, obviously not. I was part of the cleaning team. It was beautiful, Wes.
There you go. There you go. You came in and made it nice and nice and fresh. All right. So, 22 years ago, you come to Oz, work at the zoo. You go back home, and was it what was it that sort of made you feel that Australia was calling you, all this time after?
So yeah, I suppose the intention was there before I even left. So the intention was there within like a month or two of being there. I said I'm not going home. So I was trying to look at ways that I could stay then, whether I completed my degree in Australia to kind of get the points to stay, um, and kind of figure it out that way. So I kind of knew I'd spoken to family, said I don't want to come home. But then circumstances changed about 8, 10 months in, and I had to go home for family reasons. Um, but it always stuck with me. Um, and one of the things I did do, so I was on a fine art degree, but I trained in biology, and I always wanted a way to connect the two. And I was on Pitt Street in Sydney, and there was a bookshop, and I was perusing the bookshop and having a look around, and I discovered books on art psychotherapy, which I'd not heard of before. And I was like, oh, you know what? This could be the discipline for me. This could be the career for me because it's going to tick all the boxes of the things I'm interested in. So that was one of the easier things to come home to, is going, right, I've got a plan now. I think if I
Yeah.
train in this, the world opens up to me. So
Did you
it's one
train
of,
in it?
yes. So I came home, I finished my fine art degree, and then went straight into a 2-year master's in art psychotherapy to train in it.
Okay, so you're using some really big words here, Sarah. I'm not going to lie. So, an art. Did you say art psycho? I can't even say the word. Can you tell us exactly what your occupation is?
Yeah, so I'm an art psychotherapist.
What does that
There's an
mean?
So I'm a psychotherapist. So psychotherapists are supportive of people going through difficulties or mental health or just wanting to explore themselves. It's a therapeutic practice, and so the art comes into it. I'm trained in psychotherapy, so the talking therapies that you'd kind of see on TV or that you'd assume how therapy works. But I have an art room, so we use art materials to
Wow.
explore thoughts and explore experiences, and it means it taps into part of your brain processing in a different way. So a lot of people think that if you've been through something really difficult, that it's the cognitive retelling of that event that is the therapeutic bit that kind of resolves stuff. It's not actually. You can process it in lots of different ways without words that will actually be really beneficial to you and probably less traumatizing. So
That's awesome.
um, it's a magical thing. Um, I've been
That
qualified
is
for 18
absolutely
years.
amazing. Seriously, that's a great job. And how long have you been doing that job for?
So I've been qualified 18 years. I was head of mental health in a specialist provision. At the moment, I'm freelancing. I'm a lecturer for the University of Leeds, and then I'm a consultant to a psychology company and doing bits of clinical supervision and different things like that. So I'm already registered in Australia with ANZACATA, which is the Australian, New Zealand, and Asia Creative Arts Therapy Association. And when I looked 6 weeks ago, I was the only art therapist in Cairns. Someone else has
Wow.
qualified within the last couple of weeks because they got in touch. So there's now maybe two of us, but there's only, I think, about 400 in Australia. Uh, there's a lot more over here. I think there's like 200 of us just in Yorkshire. So
That's incredible. So just what visa did you end up coming on? It was the 190, correct?
I'm on a 190. I'm on a skilled visa.
Okay. What was involved in the skills assessment for that? For I'm not going to be able to say this word right for your. I'm just going to use it for your occupation, Sarah. So, what was the? How'd you go at the skills assessment in your occupation?
So it was literally providing transcripts of all the different qualifications I'd done, uh, and the master's certificate and references to show that I'd been in the profession for so many years and what I'd been doing, and so it matches the psychotherapy skill. So that's what we sit under as an art psychotherapist. We sit under psychotherapy. Some of the other ones, the creative arts therapist, so music therapy, drama therapy, they sit under counselling, which is slightly different. Um, so we sit under psychology, under psychotherapy. So that was it. It was just like, this is me. They already recognised that our training is equivalent, or if not more than, the Australian training.
Okay. I think we need to go back a little bit, Sarah. So, what we probably should tell the listeners is actually you're on a plane in 3 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes, less than 3 weeks. Yep.
Less than three. So let's go. So let's go back. So you're going to be on a plane in 3 weeks, and you're moving to Cairns. Okay, you've got a specific area in Cairns, and we're not really going to mention that area because I know that's Lisa's retirement place. So we don't want to rub that into her, but maybe we should. Whereabouts exactly in Cairns are you going to be?
So I'm heading to Trinity Beach. That's my plan. Um, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to live. I say I always thought Sydney was going to be the place for me, um, but
Back
that
to
was
the
kind of in
zoo.
younger. Yeah, well, that was in younger days. I still have a friend from the zoo that hopefully I'll get to catch up with. Um, so that was in younger days, and say I live on the edge of a city now. I'm 3 miles out of Leeds, but I never go into the city centre.
Hmm.
I live in a really nice little place, and it's got cafes, and it's got an independent art centre, and it's got all these kinds of things. So I really, when I was going through this process, I really sat and thought, going, what is important to me in life, and what do I need? So I was thinking about things like I want to do research, I want to do PhD. So are there universities in the place that I want to live? Can I afford to live there? Was a really biggest one. So I can't afford to live in Sydney unless I'm out in a suburb somewhere. And having funded this, the visa, the move, everything, going, I'm not going to pay money to live in another suburb. I want life to be different. This is why I'm doing it. So I figured in Cairns, I can probably buy somewhere 10-minute walk from the beach. And that's
Yep.
pretty cool. And then I
Yep.
also realized that I'd grown up in places that were really hilly. So I grew up on the edge of the Pennines, and, I'm 3 miles from the countryside here. So hills are really important to me. I don't want to live somewhere flat. So, like, okay, I can live on the edge of the oldest rainforest in the world. I'm up for that. That sounds pretty good. And then thinking about kind of my community and where I've made friendships over the last few years. So I'm part of an artists group here. Um, and we've done open studios tours, and we've done art fairs and all kinds of wonderful things. And they give me a really interesting friendship group. So I was looking for somewhere that has an independent arts centre, and Cairns has one. And then my other group of friends I've met over the last 6 years or so has been through roller skating. So I teach
Oh,
adults
wow.
to roller skate. Yeah, with the Roller Girl Gang, which is a community interest company. So I was like, I've made some really great friendships there. And being older, I don't think it's easy to make really great friendships. So I was really taking note of going, where have I met these great people and how have I done it? Um, so again, I was like, well, I need to find roller skaters. And there's a roller rink in Cairns. Um,
Wowee.
turns out there's
There
an
wouldn't be
ice
an ice rink.
there is an ice rink.
There is an ice rink. Wow.
There's
Like
an
the
ice
hottest
rink.
part of Australia.
I know. I spotted it on like the chat group. I'm on part of the Friends and Cairns chat group. And someone went, is anyone coming ice skating? And I was like, really? And I was like, oh, there is an ice rink. So I've packed my ice skates too.
That's
So yeah,
unbelievable. I've never
so there's
heard that in my life, packing ice skates to come to us. That's so cool. Sarah, I'm gonna have to ask this question. You do not have to answer, okay? How
yep,
old are you?
I'm 45 now. So
You're
um,
45. Well done. And you're heading to Australia by yourself?
yes, me and my cat.
You and your cat. Awesome. So we'll come
Yep.
to the cat in a little bit. So, um, what's this is really big because I think lots of firstly, congratulations because this is quite courageous. Now, but you only started when did you start the process of actually getting the visa and all that?
So the application only went in kind of end of September, the expression of interest, because I was kind of watching things and seeing what would happen, and I'd kind of come to the conclusion that it wasn't going to happen because there's 70% less visas being handed out this year that's just gone, and I only had limited time. I was 45 in April. I had limited time to be invited, and invites were taking up to a year. So I was just like, well, I might have to look at other countries. My brother's in Denmark. I started looking at Denmark and Portugal and different places like that. And then I was the surprise. So uh, Jenny texted me a week after we put in the expression of interest and said, you've been invited. Um, and it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. I sat there and cried and laughed at the same time for about 20
I
minutes.
bet.
Oh my God, I'm going. And she was like, right, we put in now. We put in for the nomination. She said, if it comes back within 24 hours, you're buying a lottery ticket this week because your invitation was not one I was expecting at all. Because usually the nomination confirmation takes 6 to 10 weeks, it says on their
Yeah.
website. So we put it in and it was confirmed within 24 hours.
Did you
And
buy a lottery ticket?
I did buy a lottery ticket and it did win. It was a
Really?
whole yeah, it was a whole £3, but
Oh, there you
it
go.
was
Cat food.
exactly, it was a win. And then we lodged for the visa, and I think we lodged it on the Friday. We took like a week or two of pulling everything together. We lodged it on the Friday, and on the Monday they asked me for the medicals and the police check that went, we want it now.
Unbelievable.
So from invitation to grant was 7 weeks, which,
Unbelievable.
which is just unheard of. I'm tracking other people through your chat group on Facebook, and I've seen nurses take longer. So it's just like, this is incredible. I'm clearly meant to be there. There's clearly,
Jenny Baker strikes again. That's all I gotta say.
yeah, absolutely going. So it was like, right, okay, I'm definitely there. So when she rang me and went, "Oh, you've been granted," I was kind of in shock. And she's like, "You're gonna celebrate?" And I was just like, I think the sadness hit me of, "Oh my god, I'm really going. Oh my god, I'm really leaving all these people behind that I really care about." So I think it's just a complete emotional roller coaster of, yes, I want to do this. And I think it feels so different. The fantasy of, I want to go. I've always wanted to live there. My friends know this about me. I've always wanted to live there. But the actual reality of doing it is so, so different. It's such a different
Let's
process. It's such a different
let's talk
headspace.
about that. Okay, let's talk about that because this is hard. All right, it is a hard process. I don't think anyone in their right mind would say this is an easy process. But Sarah, your timelines are unbelievably quick. Okay,
Yep.
but let's talk a little bit about it. Like, so you're 44, you realize that you want to get to Oz. I'm sure, and you sat back and watched other people in the group, as you mentioned, and all that, and maybe didn't get yourself excited or thinking this was going to happen. Then it does happen. But to get you to that moment that happened, what was like the most challenging part, do you think?
When I've got it, when I've been given it, is that what you're asking?
No, like to get there, like the skills assessment,
Oh,
English
to get
test, like how
there.
did you feel? Like you said, you spent your whole, all your friends and family, and you did, like were you telling your friends and family you put in an application or did you keep it a bit of a secret?
So, no, I had kind of close friends knew, um, what I was thinking about, and my brother knew, because he was kind of helping fund it for me. Um, so I told a couple of people, I couldn't tell a lot of people, and yeah, I'm really conscious of how people respond to it as well, and it's hard, isn't it? Because essentially I'm saying to people going, "I really care about you, but I'd like to live on the other side of the world to where you are. Um,
Mm,
please support me in this." So
yeah,
again, you got different responses from different people. So like say the people that I talked to, I pretty much knew I'd have positive responses from, and people that I knew could probably manage the roller coaster with me and manage uh kind of those feelings that went with it. So like one of my closest friends is just very straight with me. I mean, she's also a psychotherapist. We train together, so it's quite helpful to have psychotherapy friends. And there's points like, you know, I got the text going, "I'm invited, I'm going," and I said, "Oh my god, I'm going," and she's like, "Oh, that's brilliant. Oh no, but don't go." So
mm,
she could verbalize both bits of it, going, "I'm really happy for you, I'm really pleased for you, but I'm really sad for me." And that's been really helpful. My brother's been the same, that he's just like, "Yes, I really want this for you. You really deserve it. But I'm really sad for me that you won't be as close by." So having people that could have those really explicit conversations is really helpful because not everyone can. You know, there's other people that I told that uh, kind of back off a little bit, and I've not seen them as much. And I think that's to protect themselves because this is an ending in a way. You know, the world is
yeah,
close, and we can talk to each other online, and we can do video calls and all of that kind of thing. But it's still a form of ending, and different people
yeah,
respond to
100%.
those in different ways. It's not always about me.
It is, and well said. Yeah, it's nice to think about what other people feel. I think like what you mentioned there is it is important. It is you're sort of asking people for support, but you are saying, "Hey, I'm also moving,"
Yeah,
and you don't know like how much people actually rely on you until you are parting, um,
yeah.
and all that.
That's
So
that's really true. There was, like, my next door neighbour, they're absolutely lovely, and they kind of joke that I hibernate through winter and I don't see them as much because the weather's rubbish. So when the weather's good, we're out in the garden and we talk and that kind of thing. And yeah, I was really surprised actually. They were a couple older than me, and he turned around and he was like, "But you're one of my anchor points. You're one of the really steady people for me. And I know I don't see you that much, but you're not gonna be here now." So it's definitely that going, there's times when I've not realised kind of I appear to be a very steady figure for quite a few people, even if I
yep.
don't see them very much.
Yeah, I think well, that's what a true friend is, isn't it? Sometimes, me and you are sort of similar ages, so it is. It's you build a friendship of, communication and being there for one another, and it is hard. I know, my wife struggles to be away from her friends, and everything, and her family as well. So, all right. So you're leaving in 3 weeks, right? Have you? Are you?
Yeah.
You know, have you got everything ready? Like, have you? Are you set? Are you ready to go? Where are you up to?
I'm not really set. I'm not no, I'm not really ready to go. The house is in chaos. Um, as I'm clearing out the last things. I shipped my stuff ages ago, so I decided, again, tracking people on the group and how long things were taking, I decided to ship early because I
Yeah.
knew that clearing my house out was going to be the most stressful thing for me to do. So I was like, I can't do that and do all of my endings with people at the same time. I can't do that in the same place. My head will explode. So what I decided to do was go through my house and find all the things that I love and pack them up and ship them early. So they should be, in theory, a month, 6 weeks behind me, I think, when I get there. Um,
Yeah.
so I kind of did all of that process and cleared it out. And then the stuff that's left in my house with me is the stuff that is uh, going to my ex partner and stuff that I just need to get rid of. So I thought that'd be an easier process. But so no, the house is still on the market. It's not sold. The sale fell through. I still need to sell my car. I'd still need to find a job over there. I've got somewhere to live for the first 6 weeks. I've got my suitcases, so I know how much I can still physically carry through the airport with me. And my flights were booked as soon as I could confirm the dates for the cat to fly and go into quarantine. So they were booked a couple of months ago. Um,
You have a lot to do. Like, that's a lot to. Are you going to try attempt to sell the house, or you just sort of you can be a bit relaxed in that and sort of get to Oz and sort of let it play out?
so no, I'm still selling the house. I've got a viewing later today. I've got another viewing this week. I had one a couple of days ago. So no, still actively selling the house. It's still on the to-do list. Um, yeah.
It's a
So
big
it'll have
one. Well, it's going to be a good one to tick off,
Yeah, wouldn't it
for
just?
sure.
It was quite a relief when someone had made me a really lovely offer, and I was like, "Oh, good, that's off the list." And then it fell through, and I was like, "Oh, it's back on the list, right? Okay." As I was, then I'll carry on. And I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to going. At least when I land, the to-do list should get less. You know, it sounds mad, but going, all I have to do is find a job and somewhere to live. Oh, that's way easier than what I'm doing now,
Do you
potentially.
reckon you will find a job? Like you said, there's not many people in Australia that do have your occupation, and there's only a couple in Cairns. Is it going to be easy?
So I don't know. I picked somewhere that had a lot of mental health jobs coming up. It's really it's a weird thing being a psychotherapist because you're looking for places that have incidents of mental health difficulties. You're looking for places that have incidents of kind of youth need and community need, and there's a prison nearby. So I was like, well, if I need to work in forensics, there's something there. But I think so. I was talking to a recruitment agent over there, and she was just kind of really taken aback by what I do. And she was like, "Oh, so you're going to set up an art therapy service here?" And I was like, "Well, I could do. I've run services before. I just need to figure out how everything works." So I think potentially there will be work. Because I've been a clinical lead, I've been a manager of a team, I've got a research degree as well. So there's a fair few things open to me, and I've taught. So I'm a lecturer at Leeds University. Um, so I should have options. People are generally saying it's easier when you land. So I got a friend in Melbourne, and she was saying it's different when you land. So that's kind of the faith I'm keeping. But I was applying for jobs. I was getting flat turned down. I think it could be because I had a British number on. Some people are saying you need an Australian number on there. So I've
Yeah, hundred
put an
percent.
Australian number on the last application I did, and it's not been flat turned down, so maybe that's something. Um, but yeah, I kind of have to keep the faith going. I'll pick it up again if the house stuff and all my other jobs kind of eases off again. I'll pick up the job hunting, and at the moment, I'm trying to network with people and connect that way because sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I've reached out through the university that I work for and said, "Give me your Australian links." So I've had some really lovely responses from different people and people introducing me to kind of associate professors in Melbourne and people running women's centres in Queensland. So just those kind of connections would be really helpful, and I'll connect again with the chief exec of the Art Therapy Association over there, just to kind of introduce myself and say, "I'm here. Where can I be helpful?" Um,
Well, it sounds promising though. Like it sounds like you've made really good traction because it is like there is so much to prepare. Obviously, the
yeah,
house falling through is obviously a little bit of a an inconvenience and everything like that, and not ideal. But you got other things sorted,
yeah.
which is really good. All right, sorry, that's my baby in the background. She's just joined
Wow.
us. For people listening, thank you. She's our little webinar entertainer, Sarah. Um, all right. So, what else attracts you to Far North Queensland?
Uh, so I've been through there before. I say financially, I should be able to afford to buy somewhere, which is important. The job market looks like there's enough going on that I should pick something up. Um, I say I want a different lifestyle. I want the heat as well. To think it's not going to drop below
It's
20
very
degrees.
hot.
I know.
It's
So
going to be absolutely. Do you like the humidity?
I don't mind the humidity. There's a there's a butterfly house in Leeds, and I'm quite content in there. And that's very humid and very warm. I know it's different in the tropics. So I went through Cairns in January 16 years ago, and the kind of the wet season hadn't hit yet, but it was very hot and very humid, and I did all right. Um, I'm kind of hoping my age hasn't diminished that tolerance, but at least going
One
over
way
in
to
there.
find out.
No, exactly. At least going over in
You're
their
doing it.
winter.
You're 3 weeks away from entering it. Because Far North Queensland, I mean, I think, it's like Lisa's favourite place. That's where she wants to be. And I got so many mates that moved from Melbourne up to Cairns for the weather and that. But when I was there, I was like, wow, it does get humid. And hot, and it's not for everyone, the weather, but you're on the doorstep of where you're living is probably some of Australia's most unique, iconic, beautiful places, where lots of magazines and all that, when they're advertising, and it's a holiday destination basically where you're going to be living. So I
Yeah,
can see the attraction for that for sure.
yeah. I say it had to have the certain thing. So it had, it's got the roller rink, it's got an art scene to it. I also thought that if I hit a really big city on my own, so if I hit like Brisbane, um, I felt like I was going to get lost. I thought if I hit a smaller community, because I don't think I need a big city anymore. If I hit a smaller community, I'm more likely to meet people. That was part of my logic too. Go in a smaller place, and um, probably with kind of the extremer weather and the extremer things that they have to deal with, I think the community is probably more close knit in some
Yep.
ways. Because there must be, it's the gateway to the Barrier Reef, isn't it? And it's got the Daintree and all of those kinds of things. I've been through it as a tourist, but to be the static group that lives there all year round, I think will be really
Yeah.
interesting. And I joined a couple of the chat groups online, and I can see kind of things that they're doing. So there was a guy on there going, "I know all the hiking trails. I'm going to hike this trail on this day at this time. If you want to meet me there, come with me." And like they showed a pictures, and 12 people that didn't know each other turned up to do it.
It's
And you're
so
like,
cool,
"Well,
isn't it?
that's really cool." And people going, "Oh, I'm going out here tonight. Who's coming?" And a load of people will go. So it looks like it's open enough and friendly enough to do it. And I
It would be.
remember, yeah, I remember going through Kuranda. So there was a point where I'd visited there 16 years ago when I was last there, and got off the train in the centre of the rainforest, and just the sounds were amazing. I was like, nature is really something. Wild animals is really something. I can't wait to kind of see the kangaroos again and feed the possums and kind of see all the wildlife there. So that's a real big pull as well. Going,
You're
I
definitely going to be around the wildlife. I
yeah,
stayed in one of the national parks in Cairns for a while actually. It was really good because we got to fish a lot, which was fun. But we also got to catch lots and lots of these like crabs as well. Like these sort
yeah,
of like it was just awesome. Like it was just it was really good. But you know the best thing, Sarah, you've got yourself a visa, and you seem sort of someone who's not going to, like you're not going to take a back step. You're out there now to go out there and just fulfill whatever dreams you've got going and all that. The 190 visa allows you to move, and we've interviewed lots of people in other podcasts that started off maybe in WA, ended up in South Australia, or vice versa, because you've put yourself in a position to get a permanent residency visa on arrival. You have got that. Do you feel that that's an option, or are you someone who's going to be like, no, far north Queensland's where I want to be? Are you saying in your mind, I'm going to give myself a year doing this, or are you just going to be like, oh, bit too hot, I'm happy to move?
I don't know. It depends, doesn't it? Depends when I get there. No, that it's part of this will be financial because I'm really conscious to ship stuff across the world. For one, is a nuts concept that they let me do it. And these are my favorite roller skates. I'd like you to put them on a boat and ship them around the world for me. Um, Shipping across Australia is something if I'm going to move again. So that's what I'm really conscious of moving area. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time to build
How much
network.
stuff have you shipped though? Like obviously you got like possessions like skates and that, but what have you like what's in your shipping container that's so
So yes,
important?
it's a good question. So I shipped 300 cubic feet. What I decided on was, again, kind of tracking everyone what they did. So I thought, okay, I'm going over on my own. What is going to make me feel settled? What is the important things to me? And what do I want to do when I get there? So I was talking to some friends, and they were like, "Oh God, I'd get rid of everything and I'd just buy all new furniture." And I was like, you know what? Don't really want to be furniture shopping. That's not really where my interest is. My interest is not in kind of creating a life from scratch. My interest is this is the next chapter for me. This is a continuation of the hard work I've done here and is going to go
Hmm.
through. So what I did is I've got the basics. So I've got a bed, I've got a sofa bed. So that's a sofa. I've got my friend bought me an egg chair, so that had to ship with me. Um, I've not took any kitchen stuff. What else have I taken? A table that I really liked and chairs. So like I dismantled all my dining room chairs to flat pack because I was
Okay.
really conscious going you pay per cubic foot. So you're
Yeah.
paying per volume. So I will make this flat. The bed came dismantled in this flat pack. So that box of screws that holds everything together, box number one, I am praying that it arrives with everything else. Else I've got a lot of flat pieces of furniture that don't go together.
Yeah,
Clothes
you definitely don't want those nuts and bolts mixing up.
yeah, clothes I took a lot of, and I still took winter clothes in case I end up somewhere else, in case I end up in Melbourne, but also that, say, my brother lives in Denmark, and when I come home, I am
Yeah.
gonna die because of the temperature difference. So, like, I have all my thick winter coats there to travel
Yeah.
with. What else did I take? Um, a
You're
couple of
taking your
sun
cat, did you
lounges.
say before? You also bringing
Sorry.
your cat along? You're
So
taking your cat?
the cat's come in, so her crate has been here since January. So the crate's in the house for her to get used to it, and for it to pick up the smell. So everything is booked around her.
So how
So
does it work for the cat? What's the process for that? Like, does the cat or the cat doesn't go on the same plane as you, right?
no, she's not. So she is flying a couple of days earlier than me. I was kind of concerned, going if anything goes wrong here, and I needed to be in the country for her to kind of uh, delay it a couple of days, or me go a couple of days after her. So no, you do all the you do a rabies vaccination and you wait for a month, and then you do the blood test to prove the titer test to prove the rabies vaccination has worked, and then you apply for your permit somewhere in that, and that takes a month or two to come back, and then you apply for your quarantine dates once you've done your rabies titer test, and that takes a month to come back. So I think the earliest I could have gone was April, but I'm teaching at the university and I wanted to see that through. So I went for
Yeah.
the end of June. So I booked the cats. We waited for the quarantine dates for the cat, and then I booked my flights around that. So she's flying with Emirates, and she goes through Dubai. And through the wonders of the internet, I've already found her flight mate is a labradoodle. I think he's called Gavin. um,
Oh, wow.
that will be flying next to her. So this is the wonders of Facebook.
That is good. So they're flying fur class, right?
Yeah, they fly underneath, don't they? They fly in a special bit of the plane that is where the luggage is, but slightly separate, so it's pressurized and air temperature controlled and all of those things. So,
Oh, they look
um,
after them. They really do. They look after them. I know, like, Pets Abroad, sorry, do all like little videos and that. Like they follow them. I follow them on their
yeah.
Facebook group. It's kind of nice. You say quarantine. How long will the cat stay in quarantine for?
So it
When it
changed
gets
in March.
light?
Changed in March last year. So because the UK will not comply with the Australian government guidelines of having a government official verify their ID, we're now on 30 days quarantine rather than 10. They're claiming because of the rabies risk. So she's
Okay.
got 30 days. People were investigating whether they could go through Ireland and get the ID done that way, but I think the animals need to be in the country that's ID'd them for 6 months before they go. So um, yeah, she's in for a longer stint. But I've already been looking. She's a rescue. Um, she's really skittish. She's very attached to me. So I've already been looking for um, what can I what can I plan for that means she does less changes going through this process. So the first thing I did was
Yeah.
I looked at what cat food is available in Australia because it's different. So I found the cat food that is available there and available here, and I weaned her onto it 3 months ago. So when she travels, her food will not be different because they get really fussy, they get really picky, they don't want to eat stuff when they're stressed. So at least that isn't an extra stress for her. Her food will be familiar. Things like, the crate is familiar to her because it's here. I've been playing her airplane noises to get her used to that. Um, I had a friend over and she has taken back for me like the same cat bed that she has here, and it's not been used, but it smells of me, and a blanket that smells of me is already in Australia, ready to go into quarantine. So that there's as
That's
many
so cool.
familiar things as I can do just to see if I can settle her.
Yeah, I think the comforting thing is to go look. Lots of cats have done this journey. I know it's not ideal, but lots of them have done it as well, and they come out the other end purring, which is good. Anything you'd like to, I guess, any tips or anything like that you'd like to, or anything you'd like to offer the listeners?
Yeah, so I suppose I say one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast with you is because of my discipline, I have to pay attention to what I'm going through emotionally to make sure I'm being
Mhm.
responsible to my clients and the people that I work with. So I'm really conscious of going through this process, kind of how it's impacting me in the journey. I'm also teaching endings and loss to the university in 2 weeks. So I'm also kind of writing that presentation. So I thought, right, well, I'm dealing with this. Why not share some of the things that I'm thinking about? So um,
Yep,
one of the things I've noticed is it is so, so, so mega stressful. It is insane. Absolutely. It's an insane process. And um, I don't kind of realize it because I'm in it and because I'm in Facebook groups of other people doing it. It kind of is the norm, but it's really not. So I was having a conversation with friends that obviously aren't doing this thing, and I was sat next to one of them, and he's going, "Oh, I get really stressed about what wallpaper to pick for my kitchen." And he said, "And you're going through that, and my brain doesn't comprehend." And I was like, "Oh," I said, "but it's all relative, isn't it? It's all relative in life. What is stressful? I've been through kind of simpler things." I said, "But would you do it? Would you do what I'm doing?" And he was like, "No." And it started a conversation with a group of us, and I asked like one of my closest friends, and I went, "Would you do it? Would you move country? Would you pick up and go?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, well, if your partner went in front of you and sorted out the housing and all of that kind of thing, would you do it?" She's like, "No, still wouldn't do it." So it's that going. It's a really unusual thing to do, again, surrounded by a group of people that are doing this, but in life, there's not so many people that do it, and there's it's a
100%.
really good there's a really good reason. It's because it's mega stressful, um, and it's been a complete roller coaster. So there's times when I'm on it and I've got my to-do list and I'm being proactive and things are leaving the house and it's emptying out and it's going the right way. But there's times when I bomb. There's times when I sit on the sofa and I hide under a blanket and I'll binge watch Netflix. I was enjoying Bridgerton this weekend, um, and I can't do anything. It needs to stop and I can't function. And I just wanted to tell people that is normal. That is okay. You can't keep going and everything will be great and everything's wonderful. It's not. It's a complete emotional upheaval. I'm wrapping up my life. I'm wrapping up my entire life in a country, picking it up, taking any security I've got and removing it, and then trusting that I'm going to have to go and rebuild that security in another place. So there's
Yep.
a psychotherapy theory of attachment, which is a secure base. So it talks about you having secure relationships, and you know, um, for me, I relate it to kind of things that are really static, and there's not so much change going on. So you've got big changes in your life going on. Things are harder to tolerate. Things become more stressful. So, literally to wrap up every area of my life and move it. And the other part of it was um, thinking about what to ship. I mean, it's insane. So, when in your life do you stop and you look at every single item in your house and go, "Ah, today I'm going to make a decision about this and decide how important it is to me." So, is it
Mm,
important enough that I pay £10 per cubic foot to ship it to the other side of the world? Or is it not? There's never a point in your life when you do it. If you're moving house in the same country, there just gets to a point where you box it all up and you move it. Because I've still got boxes
100%.
from moving before. But when it's that, and I'm really conscious of going, I'm on my own at the other end, and I'm going to land with this stuff, and I have to manage it at that end, um, rather than moving things myself. Going, that's something as well. But like the emotional energy it
Sarah,
takes to
what
move.
didn't make it? What
Sorry,
didn't make it on there? What give us
what
an
didn't
example of
make
something that didn't make it on the ship that might have
Uh,
stressed you out a little bit or, like, made you, yeah, anxious a bit?
what didn't make it? I'm looking I'm looking
Mm.
around my house. Um, I don't know what I had to cut out of it. Um, I suppose I don't know, it's bits of furniture, there's bits of stuff that don't mean as much to me. Uh, I'm an artist, so I have loads of artwork, and I decided there was no point me taking it because there would only be me that looked at it. So I've just been handing my artwork out to everyone I know, going, "You have it. You keep bits of it." Um, like kitchen stuff, I decided I'll start again because uh, it will
Yeah,
land
Kmart and
after me, and
Target.
people need that kind of stuff. So practical things like that. Sorry.
I just said, yeah, Kmart and Target and all that have all them, and like you say, they will land after you, so
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
end up getting it anyway.
yeah.
You double up.
Oh,
We fell for that error.
yeah. But I'm conscious. There's no IKEA in Cairns, and there's no Costco. Um, so I think I went for things like artwork. I went for things that were gonna be familiar and of comfort to me. So, like, I don't know, like bedding covers, duvet covers that are the same as here.
Yeah.
My bed, because if I have a good night's sleep, I feel better. Um, that's
What if you're
there.
gonna use a duvet, an actual thick duvet in cans? You might just be under a sheet.
Yeah, well,
It's
I've
gonna
got
get
like a.
hot.
I'll acclimatise really quick, whereas that's what will happen. I'll be in jumpers when it's 20 degrees.
Yeah, that's so funny that, like, when we interview people, they're like, "Oh my god, it's like 20, 24 and I'm wearing a jumper." I'm definitely but in the UK, I would have been out,
Yeah,
top off down at the beach, and
yeah,
now it's
definitely,
like a winter month.
definitely.
Um, yeah,
S-
that's
So,
awesome. So you were talking before about, other, stresses and emotions. Is there anything else? Because I think this is really good for the listeners to get a good understanding of what it's like, 44 to be able to, pack your stuff up and go. Well, what else is
yeah.
there?
So I think the moments when you stop are really important. I've kind of learnt this over the years that the points where you feel overwhelmed, if you can stop for a day, stop for half a day, pay attention to yourself. What do you need? If you need to spend a day on the sofa, do it. If you need to go and eat really nice food, do it. If you just need to go and sit in a quiet room and talk to no one, do it. Uh, or go for a walk in nature. I think walking's quite helpful. Um, it's just being kind to yourself that yes, this is this glorious dream of you're getting to live somewhere you've always wanted to live and go and live in this lovely place, but the process of getting there is hard. So it's uh, that's something. As I've definitely felt overwhelmed at points. Definitely kind of felt that I've just had quieter days when I can't really cope with it. Definitely cried quite a lot. Just kind of the sadness of going and the idea of packing everything up and leaving. Um, Kind of had some mega anxiety when I was booking Airbnbs and places to live. People were saying that they found a rental within 2 or 3 weeks. So I booked like 18 days of an Airbnb and thought, okay. And then I was like, but 1 minute, the cat is going to land with me like a month after I land because of the quarantine and not everywhere accepts the cat. And if I don't find somewhere, I could hit a hostel like backpacking, but I can't if I've
Yeah.
got the cat. So I
Because it's
found
busy
somewhere.
season when you get there, Sarah, isn't
Sorry.
it? Yeah, you'll be getting there. So when it's winter months down here, Cairns is like super busy because you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
lots of
yeah.
our lots of people go up there for holidays and traveling. And I think half my football team goes there in the school holidays at Far North Queensland.
Ah,
So
so
yeah, you will be busy. It will be accommodation will be a bit harder this time of the year than rather than the summer months. It'll probably be a little bit hotter, so it'll be a bit less, less busy.
yeah. So I found a second Airbnb and extended it so I'm covered for 6 weeks. And
Nice.
it was one of those things that I booked that some of these things you can book them and you can cancel them, and this was one that didn't have a cancellation on it, and I was like, "You know what? For my sanity, it is worth the money. For my sanity,
Yeah.
if it relieves the anxiety of thinking, okay, so now I'm settled for 6 weeks and the cat is settled with me and I know what I'm doing, then that is worth having." So it's a bit of that kind of what is going to make me feel a bit better about landing? What is going to make me feel a bit better when I'm there? And what do I really need? So, again, kind of done lots of things about looking at the place and looking at websites of the place and looking at houses and trying to imagine myself there. So, it's not just this big jolt of I've landed now. It's a whole process. The end of this process isn't landing. The end of this process is probably a year in when I feel secure in where I'm living and I feel I've got the job that I want and I've got a couple of friends that I can talk to. I know I've kind of in my head I've written off this year because
Yeah.
landing there doesn't answer it. Landing there is just the next part of the stage and the next part of going, right, I'm going to need my energy because I need to meet new people. So how am I going to meet new people? So I've already contacted a festival over there. So I used to volunteer for an arts festival here where I live. And I was like, that's a really great group of people. I wonder if there's anything there. And there is. So I emailed them going, can I volunteer for you? I'll be your photographer. And they're like, yeah, great. Come and connect with us when you land.
That's
So
so cool. I love that.
I'm, I'm trying to connect with people and I'm trying to look for opportunities of, okay, what happens regularly? Is there a dance class or an art class or something that I can sit in regularly and do? Is there roller skaters that are out regularly that I can join? Is there, what's on? So I've put like all the local markets in my diary. So I've got things to do the same way I would do it here and just
There's
kind of
so
try.
much to do in Cairns. Honestly, you look. You're going to meet so many people. I know, and I hope we come back and revisit your life. In
Yeah.
6 months and 12 months, these questions get answered. But I think it's really cool, and you've been really proactive with the meeting groups and all that. I know for us moving to a small town, um, sporting groups and all that. But then if you're a nice person, which you sound amazing, like you'll be fine, Sarah. Like people will just. Gel to you. It's kind of like Australians are really, really accepting. Like, like if people are well mannered and courteous and everything like that, I think it's just they'll just fit in. Yeah, it's a great country, and where you're heading is has got amazing people too. It's very laid back. I think the whole time I was there, I don't think I saw one person wearing a pair of jeans or anything like that. It's pretty much just shorts and well, we call it a tank top,
Yeah.
singlet top. You got the English refer it to as a vest. But yeah, everyone's just sort of that's just how you get around. So, but Sarah, I just want to wish you all the best and thanks for sharing. your journey with us, because it is a great journey. Starting the visa at 44, being up against it with age and obstacles for the purpose of a visa, and then to come out there and look to smash out, this other life. And like you said, this is an extension of your life. That's why you're bringing the belongings into it, and it's good. I think it's been a good podcast because you're really explaining the thought process of where you get there, and that's the idea of these podcasts. So, thank you so much for joining us. Before we shut it off, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I just say if you want to catch up with me again once I'm there and you can see what state I'm in, where I go, oh my god, what have I done? Um, I think it would be interesting. I say I just know where I am now. I don't know what it's going to feel like when I'm there. I think it's going to be again a roller coaster, but of a different variety. But I'm just really intrigued to see when you take certain factors out of life, how it changes. So, like, if there's better weather all the time, what does that change for your lifestyle? If there's things that are more accessible, that are beautiful, what does that change for your lifestyle? I think it's just going to be a really
Good
interesting
questions.
journey.
Good questions. I think you can always change your surroundings, but sometimes can you change that person within? And
Yeah,
like it's easy to go, I'm going to be a better person because I'm going to put myself with, in a nice environment, something that's different. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you got that little sense of fulfillment in life. But
yeah.
I really hope you do, and I hope the house gets sold as well.
Thanks.
Get all that sorted, cash you up so you can buy a lovely property in Cairns for Lisa to visit.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
you know, get down there as well. So, Sarah, thank you so much. And guys, thank you for tuning in to this podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everyone.